Just 2 rounds left to go to punch your ticket to the 2026 Porsche Esports Supercup. And the European region heads to the Hockenheim Ring, where we know chaos can ensue for drivers looking to secure valuable points on their championship run. Hi folks, Arjuna Kangipati. Delighted to be back alongside of Paul Smith as we head to a very familiar track for these drivers, Paul. The European region up first, and just 2 more rounds left to get those valuable points to be in the top 8 in the most competitive of all 4 regions.
Yeah, this is the time to really make the results count and really get those big points where you need them. So if you're outside the 8, you need 2 good, strong final weeks. But if you're in the 8, solid points, get yourselves through.
It's a new format for 2026 with some new prizes as well. Let's talk about the changes to the Porsche Esports Supercup.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are 2 ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only 1 driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
Well, last time out at Barcelona, it was the first time that Charlie Collins had not taken pole position. That one went down to Florian Lebigra for him as they went charging down to turn number 1. We had moves being made. Collins tried to make the move on Luke McEwen to get past and try and break up that Verstappen.com racing lineup at the front. They did manage to make those moves, but then it was in turn number 4 where drama happened. A late lunge from Luke McEwen, the smallest of contacts, and it was Charlie Collins who went off into the gravel trap. Another look from it on board, just you see just the lightest of touches. McEwen ends up turning Collins around. We have drama further down as well, with a number of our drivers involved in lap 1 incidents, and that caused us to have a bit of a mixed up field. It was out of the hairpin here where Jamie Fluke was the outside man on the 3 wide situation, with further drivers as well. Roger Christensen, one of those, getting involved. Then it was all about the Charlie Collins fight back through the field and making moves on Leo Garibaldi and moving through on a few others as well to get him up to 15th by the end of the race. But the winner, of course, was Florian Lebigra from lights to flag.
And so the points as they stand now, 2 rounds left to go, a maximum of 120 points to be earned. Charlie Collins and Florian Lebigra tied, but the cut line showing a 20-point margin between the hunting pack and those on the inside and comfortably in. I say comfortable, Paul. 2 rounds in this championship left for those drivers to rack up some more points.
Yeah, and that's why I said for people like Kadlachik and Biko and Fisher outside looking in, they need 2 really big weeks now to finish off their championship. We saw Biko last time out have a good solid round, got himself up the field, so 7th place in the end of that one. But yeah, it's really going to be a turning point, and I think it's going to be going into this last week in 2 weeks' time. It's all going to be about being 60 points or more ahead of the cut line, isn't it, Arjuna?
That's the first of our storylines as we get set for today's race. The fact that time is running out, and with 20 points now separating 8th and 9th position, 60 points the maximum on offer, you get the sense for just how much work is left for those drivers to do. But Paul, at the front of the field, a tie between Charlie Collins and Florian Lebiger, with Collins' winning streak finally coming to an end.
Yeah, as we saw, that incident between him and McEwen sent him down the field. It was a good recovery drive from Charlie to be able to get himself back up into 15th place, but that did mean that Florian Lebiger able to go lights to flag, getting the win there and moving him joint at the top. It's a bit different to how you would normally see a championship, though. It's all about being in that 8, so winning the championship, it's nice to get a bit of a mental advantage over your competitors, but it's not essential.
And so really already sitting, 80-something points clear of Kadlicic in 9th. They may be the only 2 drivers locked in when we make our way to the season finale in 2 weeks' time. But last but not least, let's not forget race control in these final 2 rounds of the season, when we've already seen contact at the front between McEwen and Charlie Collins. Got to remind ourselves, Paul, stay out of trouble with race control.
Yeah, absolutely. The penalty points can cost you big time, and we've seen the Championship Series admins really come down hard on a few various incidents.
So that's a talk through of our various storylines. Qualifying is now officially in the books. Let's talk about our host for today's venue, Paul. Familiar to many of these drivers, it's the Hockenheim Ring.
Yeah, of course, been host to the Supercup, Esports Supercup many times, DTM, there's International GT Open, it's former Formula 1 venue. That run through the Parabolica down to the hairpin, that's going to be the big talking point in today's race, especially on lap 1 as well. You can make moves into turn 2 on this racetrack as well, and through the arena can get some moves being made. So it's a nice wide track for the drivers to contend with here.
Wide leaves plenty of chances to make your moves, and that could lead to some breakaways. If drivers at the front realize the points are on offer in our 30-minute race, we'll talk about our Loctite race analysis. We might see those at the front play it smart, those at the back having to chop and change their way off the standing start. No pit stops, and remember, top 8 in the region move on to the start of the Porsche Esports Supercup in just a handful of weeks' time. It sounds simple, 30 minutes of racing here, but these are the best of the best, and the margins, as ever, fine. Want to learn more? Scan that QR code on your screen to learn more about the series, including the Porsche Global Qualifiers, the official iRacing series that preceded this stage of the qualifying. You could be in for the 2027 Porsche Esports Supercup Championship path and potentially find yourself as one of the 5 selected drivers in our talent pool shootout at the end of our season. Here's a look at the regional races still left to go, Paul, including next week Interlagos and Phillip Island for Americas and the Middle East and Africa.
Yeah, 2 absolutely classic circuits for those 2 to finish off the season, and I'm looking forward to watching those next week with bated breath. But Hockenheim and Okayama for us today, that's going to be a really keen one for us to keep an eye on. But Red Bull Ring and Phillip Island again, 2 tracks can really throw up a few surprises for us in 2 weeks' time here in the Europe and Asia Pacific side of the regional qualifiers.
Say interesting schedule. Some of these tracks more unfamiliar than others. Okayama, of course, used across of all iRacing official race series, being that it's part of that base path that so many iRacers end up using. We've been waiting for the qualifying session to come to a close so we can take a look at our TDK pole lap on board with guess who? Charlie Collins, who once again rises to the front, bold through turn 1, using all the track on offer, Paul, as he heads down to the first of the heavy braking zones.
Yeah, get it slowed down, word up, get the anchors out for turn 2, keep it a bit to the right to open up this left of 3, and then we're going to go into the Parabolica. This is effectively a straight, even though it's curved. Flat out, you press down on the accelerator and you think, am I pressing hard enough? You keep on pushing hard, and then you've got this daunting braking spot. Get it right. Now, in the old cars, you used to see them locking up wheels into there, not in this new 992.2 car with its ABS. nicely on the power out of the hairpin. Fast right-hander here, absolutely flat out. Get it over to the right-hand side for the braking into this arena section. Tight left, and keep it over to the left to open up then the right-hander, taking you back onto the old course once again. This is where you have the drag strip ahead of you, but we're going to turn right through the right-hander, past the Porsche Experience Centre on the right-hand side. Look at how much curb Collins uses as he heads into the Sachs curve. It's banked in your favour, so get that car nicely low down through this awkward left-right chicane. Keep the car more towards the left through the penultimate corner. Then Sud curve for the final corner. Again, look at how much curb he is using there across the line to set his lap time. Sensational lap there from Charlie Collins.
Love seeing the driver wring the neck of one of these Porsche Cup cars, and Collins, for the third time this season, is up front. Alejandro Sanchez, his teammate, gets his best qualifying effort of the season though. Slots in alongside, while Verstappen Sim Racing and Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing split rows 2 and 3. Labigra, McEwen, Pinto and Job ready to fight against the purple and orange. Henry Moore slots into 7th with Ganoso Tasdellen outside on row 4. Completing the top 10, it's Tristan Iglesias, one of those drivers inside of the top 8 in points, alongside of the young Jerome Fisher. Martin Kadlicic on the outside looking in points has got Rafael Renhofer in the green for EMM on his outside. Alessandro Bico, Lucas Camba Marrero 13th and 14th with Noah Eder, and Jamie Fluke right in the heart of the pack. Lewis Bilaker's got some work to do. 8th in points, 17th in qualifying with Luca Alpert, Daniel Ola and Leo Gariboli around him. Olivier Schultz, Samuele Spiezio, Vitaly Yokin, and Jesse Hiliaiho. Harrison Crowther makes his first appearance of the season, and Roger Christensen joins him in not having set a qualifying time. Just 26 cars, Paul. A couple of drivers starting to fall away on the road to the World Championship as they realize their hopes are dwindling. It leaves some more points on the table for others if they stay out of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about keeping yourself nice and clean and safe. Bilaker, the worst qualifying of the season. The last time out at Barcelona was his worst, was 7th. He's a further 10 places back there in qualifying, so not a good day for him. And if he gets involved in any shenanigans on the opening lap, that could have a big, big impact here in terms of that top 8.
And he's only, Paul, 6/10. 6/10 of a second off of pole. Goes to show the margins in qualifying and the levels here in the Porsche Esports Super Cup. The European region is going to dwindle down the 32 competitors to 8. There's some like Harrison Crowther who are here and knowing their hopes have already dwindled. Martin Kadlicic and the lights are ready to go. 30 minutes on the clock for the penultimate time in the European region. The road to the Porsche Esports Super Cup is go. Great start from Charlie Collins. His teammate Sanchez slots in behind him, but around the outside, Henry Moore's trying to put the offense on Sebastian Joe. We sweep through turn number 1, and all 26 fire off the line safely. On the brakes through turns 2 and 3 for the first time. A little bit more movement, spin for the 30. Noah Eder gets boxed out on the edge of the top 20. As we sweep through the parabolica up to the danger zone. It's single file and a big gap between the top 2, Paul, as Kawanda look to break away.
Yeah, they want to try and break that draft and try and get away from others, but look at the movement further back in the mid-pack as we look down from above. It's almost like a drone shot is this one from above, looking over the top of them. And do you know what? Everybody's behaving themselves so far through the hairpin. That's unexpected, I think.
It's what you want to see. Ganoso Tasdellen was the driver that was maybe most aggressive on the charge up to the hairpin, but he stayed in 9th spot. More trouble further back as Harrison Crowther gets involved in that altitude-free Esports number 18. It was Olivier Schultz and Leo Gariboli, the two that got tangled up.
Oh, unfortunate for Leo. Oh, across the nose of Crowther. Oh, that's a huge incident there. And, well, down the order goes Hilhaya, so not good for the young Finn, as we've got a car off on the inside of the Sachs curve.
Renhofer.
Oh, my goodness.
What's happened to Renhofer, a driver who would have expected a bit more from this season, didn't finish the last race and looks like he might be pit lane bound based on the off-tracks excursion that he's just taken through. Now that was one bit of argy-bargy. The second, it was totally self-inflicted.
Yeah, absolutely. That's on Yessi, unfortunately, and he'll learn from that. That is for sure. When you're in a competitive field like this, with the margins so small, it only takes the slightest of contact, and around they go.
So interesting that Sanchez and Collins switched around up to the hairpin the first time by. Let's see if they'll continue to swap back and forth, kind of like you would at an oval with a swap draft. Especially helpful if Henry Moore in that Bannock 17, white, red, and tealish colours on that car, continues to put the offense on Sebastian Jobe. Didn't start off the season great, did Jobe, but fourth and third in the last couple have put him right back in the conversation to be in that top 8 mix. Hold on to 6th position, and Jobe will be in a good spot come our season finale at the Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks' time.
It's good to see Henry Moore up there. Best qualifying performance of the season from Henry, starting in 7th. Previously, it was 12th place at the last race, so he's been improving each and every week as Henry in terms of qualifying. This one is best one, and it's great to see him putting pressure on our former 2-time Porsche Esports Supercup champion.
In front of Jobe, you have one of our other champions of the series, Diogo Pinto. Always great to remember the history of the series, and another 2-time champion as Henry Moore takes a bit of liberty there with the track limits. Porsche Sprint Challenge Great Britain, really proving the pathway from sim to real, that one of the drivers in the Porsche Esports Super Cup will get the opportunity to go down with the support of a great factory like Porsche.
And I will say, I was watching that Porsche Sprint Challenge GB, the Carwow Porsche Sprint Challenge GB, and Josh Rogers, he was just on another level around Knock Hill this last weekend, in the rain as well, in one of those races. He really had it hard, did Josh, but yeah, absolutely fantastic to see somebody of that ilk, of a former Porsche Esports Supercup champion lineage, to be competing at such a good level.
Let's not forget, Sebastian Jobe has gotten into a Cup car and tested, if my memory serves, but has also had the opportunity to go out there and drive a Formula One car in full anger, which is something that many of us would have dreamed about as a child. Sebastian had to then prepare his neck for that reality, and what a physical transformation he has gone through. That will be another element that the drivers will be evaluated on as part of that final talent pool kind of assessment, but we'll get to that when we get there. It's a long road still left to go in the 5-round World Championship that is going to be fraught with anticipation, I have no doubt. The leaders not being allowed to break away, and the story of the first round or two was Kawanda having a stronger car the longer we went into this race, not proving to be the case so far.
And you know what? Track temperature isn't too bad. It's 39.5 degrees Celsius is the track temp, so they'll be able to lean on those tyres a bit more than if it was a bit hotter. It's not perfect by all means, but it's also a track that doesn't really have a lot of long radius corners like Barcelona last time out had, and so they can really sort of be a bit more aggressive with the cars. But yeah, Charlie Collins looking like he's struggling to keep up with his teammate. As Biko, what's happened to Alessandro?
Slow down, I would think. He's now not quite parked in front of Samuele Spezio, but Spezio forces his way down the inside in that Vesta Sport number 27. Fellow Italian now trying to cut back underneath the Formula Williams F1 Team Gaming driver. Not a great run off into the Mobile One curve for Spezio, but just enough for him to hold on, and tucked behind with those pink wheels, Luca Alpert going to try and shove his nose up the inside. This is where the track narrows up as well, and Alpert forces his way through.
That was, whoa! To say that was robust, a bit too robust, and well, you're not going to, Biko's not going to be shy in holding his line, and he will not have been happy at being squeezed off the course at the exit of Sachs Curve. But Biko is going backwards fast. It's almost like he's got a problem.
He's 10th in points right now. Right on the bubble, you would say, but trending in the wrong direction. And one of the more difficult things, Paul, when you leave a big team like the Williams F1 Team Gaming is now trying to find those resources, the engineers, the help to practice and dial in your setups that you've become accustomed to. And I'm sure Alessandro's got a decent group around him, but it won't have been the same when you've got it organised all for you.
Yeah, you're having to take that time to get a group of people together to run practice. And it's not just getting anybody together. You're having to get people who are of a similar competitive level here. So you want to be practicing against people and with people who are of a similar standard as you are, to be able to get the most out of those setup sessions, out of getting those practice sessions. Tristan Iglesias looking all over the back of Taz Dillon. Is all over him like a nasty rash here right now. But looking to the inside of Sachs Curve, that's not going to work.
Having to go aggressive because Martin Kadlicic, Jerome Fisher, now those are technically teammates behind. They swapped around, and that cost Kadlicic crucial points. Remember, Kadlicic, the one that would be taking advantage of the fact that Lewis Bielica started this race down the field. But you can see the hand of frustration from Kadlicic. More frustration. Guess who's behind him?
Do you know what? I think it's a legitimate hand of frustration as well from Kadlicic. He really was forced wide then by Iglesias. But yeah, you're quite right. Lewis Bielica, big moves up through the field, up 5 places from where he started as Lewis. He needs to keep on that progression, that rate of progression through the field to be able to get himself some decent points here. Jeremy Fluke's up 3 places. Samuel Spiezio is up 6 places.
People taking advantage of the misfortune of the likes of Biko, Renhofer. Leo Gariboli down 5. Remember, he got tangled up on the opening lap as well. The only change inside of the top 11 is now at the front of the field, where Sanchez and Collins keeping each other at arm's length and not expecting that to change anytime soon. Look how close they get to one another through the arena section and then into this final sector where we've seen some crazy moves. Think of Ian Chenguven last year to win the DTM championship. I would argue, Paul, you'd be a bit unwise to be that aggressive. Going back to one of our storylines, what was it? Oh, don't let race control be looking over your shoulder.
I think there'll be a couple of forms filled in and sent in to race control. There'll be people asking, have you seen my email? Because there's a few moves, defensive moves on the exit of Sachs Curve in particular that have been borderline for me. Forcing people completely over, because the problem is with that corner Sachs Curve being cambered in your favour, that curb on the outside, it's flat compared to it being cambered, so as soon as you get forced off, you just got no grip compared to those on the track.
One of the big differences, Paul, that I always like to now focus on between real racing and sim racing is track limits, the way that we discuss them, the way that we use them. Sebastian Job is on the 7th lap of this race, has not set a valid lap time just yet, because every lap, somewhere, he's been running that little bit wide and gaining, I don't want to say gaining a small advantage, but gaining what the iRacing system thinks may be a small advantage. Just one of those nuances in the world of sim racing. You have those off tracks, you know how to ration them out, and that's exactly what two-time champ is doing right now.
And you've got to be careful because you've got 17 instants is the threshold for you getting a drive-through penalty. Now, if you then end up making little bits of contact here and there with others, you can soon rack up an extra 4 instant points if the contact's heavy enough. And before you know it, you're ending up going down pit lane at a very slow speed, listening to cars flying past you. So, yeah, you've got to be careful with the track limits. I mean, my goodness, everybody knows that I'm the arbiter of strict track limits, and quite frankly, if they can't keep it within the white lines, like there at that last corner, then they're cheating, in my opinion. But that's just me. I'm an angry old man, Arjuna. That's what it is.
You would not have enjoyed being at Grid Life with me at Watkins Glen recently. We were having people all four wheels inside of the white line on the entry curve to the bus stop chicane. There's a look at Job, who always runs his force feedback super strong as well. We had that one round of the Porsche Esports Supercup at Le Mans where they were driving on the side of the track because that was one of the strategies to gain an advantage, and Job's forearm was shaking around and just crazy the strength required to hold on. They pulled away from Henry Moore quite well. Moore now looking over the shoulder at Tasdell and Iglesias, the rest of the train stacked up behind. But these three, McEwen, Pinto and Job, have been dropped by their teammate, Florian Lebigra, the only one of the Verstappen racing drivers to be putting the pressure on Sanchez and Collins at the front.
Yeah, I'm looking at his average lap time for Lebigra, and he's faster than Collins on an average lap time over the last 5 laps. It's just that he's not able to compete with Sanchez. To be honest, I don't think that Collins is really able to compete too much with Sanchez with his pace. It's small margins, but Sanchez is a good 500ths on average faster than Collins. Lebigra is only 200ths off of Sanchez, so this is what I love about not just these regional qualifiers, but also the Super Cup itself, the World Championship, is the finite margins that we're talking about between these drivers is absolutely incredible. You're watching the best of the best.
From estimated sector times, I can tell you that Lebigra is quickest through the first part of the lap, Collins quickest through the middle part of the lap, and Sanchez quickest through the last part of the lap. So it's all relatively close. Their last lap times, well, Lebigra was actually quickest of them all, but we're talking by 300ths of a second compared to Sanchez, another 300ths quicker than Charlie Collins. And with 16 minutes to go back to our second of our storylines. There could be 2 drivers locked in at the end of this race, Collins and Lebigra, and they have no incentive to fight too much, to rob themselves of valuable track position, because where they sit right now will see them guaranteed to be part of the top 8 come the end of the season.
And that's a very good point that you make there, Arjuna. If you're the engineer for Lebigra or for Collins, you say to your driver, look, don't fight. Just don't fight. If somebody makes a move, let them have it. If they're that desperate to have it, fine, whatever. You're securing yourself that spot in the championship, into the World Championship. That's the most important thing right now. So I don't think you'll be seeing any silly moves from Florian or any crazy defensive moves from Charlie. It's a case of looking at the big picture right now.
I'll go one step further. I think when we get to the World Championship, the drivers are all going to have to remind themselves that even though only one driver will win, that driver is not guaranteed to be the one that is selected to move forward into Real Motorsport with Porsche. There are going to be other factors that are so important, including in my case, my reason why I could never be selected, my size. I'm too tall to fit in race cars. There you go. There's my excuse.
I think I'd need to lose about 50 kg to be able to meet their standards. I will say, though, by the way, I beat former Porsche junior driver Adam Smalley on the the reaction wall, with all the lights where you've got to react to the lights and press the buttons. I beat him on that at Porsche Experience Centre in Silverstone. Just saying.
Where's Porsche's contract offer now? Just in the wings. Back to McEwen, Pinto, Job. McEwen, another driver that I don't know if mathematically he'd be safe, but 3rd in points, 4th on track. You'd think that's a pretty decent place for him to be, finishing no lower than 6th this season. Former champion Pinto, again, he's tied actually with Sebastian Job on 113 points, 1 point back from McEwen. They're all in a very similar spot to not probably being mathematically safe, but 14 minutes away from just being that one race next time out.
The difference for these drivers in not fighting each other is that there's a whole angry queue of cars that's not that far away from them, headed up by Henry Moore, that could bring them into danger. So this is where, for the front three, you've got that difference of not fighting because you're securing yourself in the championship. You've got these three here are not wanting to fight each other. One, because they're all involved under the either the Red Bull or the Verstappen.com racing banner, but also you've got those drivers behind that are not that far back that could start getting involved in these three and make life a bit more uncomfortable.
Close quarters, and already a bit of contact now showing on the front of Diogo Pinto's car. Not likely to have done too much damage. Remember, this new generation of Porsche Cup car, ABS and traction control is standard around the world, and including in top-level championships. There are some of the series that do mandate that traction control settings are fixed in certain spots, but nonetheless, we're entering a new era where recognizing the value of the driver tools in GT3 and even in prototype race cars nowadays, with all the electronic aids that they have to help the driver put the power down, being able to use and master them is valuable. In that fight, Henry Moore is closed up very slightly. We'll wait for the lap time to confirm, but he's broken away from Taz Dillon, and now only 1.7 seconds back from Job. It was a small gain, but just enough for Henry Moore to take some confidence as Taz Dillon really running it wide out of turn one.
Yeah, Iglesias right now is one of those drivers who's in the top six. He's in the top six, actually. There's the move down the inside at turn two. And Iglesias finally makes it, and Taz Dillon out of shape, and that's because he's got a slow down penalty. He ran too far wide on the exit of turn number one. That's given him a slow down penalty, and now you've got Fisher looking to go through. You've got Kadlacik trying to make the move as well. Taz Dillon still not served that penalty.
It's taking him a while. It's one of those things where put yourself in that position and it's always going to be a painful price to pay, and he's now dropped down 3 as a result of that. Kadlacik back up into the top 10 as a result. And going back to the conversation we had earlier, if you're that team manager sitting on the pit wall, do you get on the radio and just remind them, guys, that don't be too aggressive with one another? There's no team orders by any means, but what you don't want is this sort of argy-bargy that we're watching on a replay down into the hairpin. And that's seen Florian Lebigra and Charlie Collins A, lose a bunch of ground, and B, swap around positions.
That is exactly not what you need to be doing, as, oh my goodness, we're back to Pico, who's going absolutely neck and neck through. I mean, this is all for 17th. You've got Spizio, you've got Renhofer, Christensen and Eder. Christensen, by the way, the biggest mover right now in this race, up 6 places from where he started. So, yeah, they're battling further down in 17th, but that big move, Collins, I can understand why he's defending that move from Lebigra, but I don't know why he needs to defend that hard.
Seems like pride maybe getting slightly in the way there. Remember, both of them tied on points at the top of the championship. No real need to have done anything there. Hop, skip and a jump over the inside curb, sweeping through the Parabolica. Not quite slowing these drivers down, but as Spezio is now pegged on the outside on the entry into the hairpin, they will go 3 wide. This is where the teammates can work together, but Roger Christensen somehow has found a gap. He overshot on the brakes. Wide head from Raphael Renhofer to give him space. Taking advantage, slips through Noah Eder. But goodness gracious me.
I had to mute my microphone because I was making all sorts of noises there. That was, yeah, you could see that coming from a mile off, couldn't you? But my goodness, that was fortunate that drivers were driving heads up there, and Renhofer forced wide, a little bit of side-to-side contact with Eder, and that allows Christensen to come down the inside. More contact!
And that, again, was inevitable. It was building. Renhofer down to 22nd momentarily, but on the inside of Harrison Crowther, little bit of a slip and slide as they work through this final sector where we are proving you can run side by side. Almost ran into there by Vitaly Yolkin in the iRacing number 32. Slide through the final corner, 8 minutes left to go. And some great fighting here. And again, a lot of these drivers at this point mathematically out of contention, you would argue. Pinto and McEwen have swapped around for 4th and 5th, but it's all single file at the front of the field as Renhofer picks up a slowdown at turn 1.
Yeah, I was just about to say he's going to have to slow down and getting a little bit too aggressive there. And I think Rafael is realising that it's just not on at all. As Sebastian Job now and Luke McEwen they've swapped places, haven't they?
McEwen struggling. Deeper we get into this race, his teammates clearly quicker, and with Henry Moore on the charge, I think this is exactly what you had been calling out, Paul. The fact that Henry is close enough to put these drivers in a bit of concern.
It's, yeah, you can't be fighting each other. You really cannot, and slowing each other down, especially if you're all involved in teams or that are aligned with each other as well. When you're comfortably in the big point scoring places for a qualifying series, I get it. I do get it that, you know, people do see that they want to get the best result that they possibly can, and Luke McEwen just looks a bit sort of resigned to the fact that he's going to be behind Sebastian right now.
Very nonchalant, these top-level sim racers, aren't they? That is for sure. McEwen, IndyCar Pro Series champion, the FIA Formula 4 Esports Global champion a couple of years ago as well. Lots of credentials in open wheelers, but has had some success in the IMSA Esports Global Championship too. Now, with time winding down, it's 6 minutes 20 seconds left to go. We should be left with 4 laps after this. I get the feeling Alejandro Sanchez is a world removed from being caught at this point, but second all the way down through 13th are right now in a train, I would argue. One mistake, one little slip up, or one moment of contact, Paul, and things could still shift around.
I think if you asked Sanchez after Manicourt what his thoughts were on this qualifying series, he wasn't thinking very highly of it. Well, I think if we speak to him later, nearly gave him the strongest strain of commentators curse there, but if we end up speaking to Alejandro at the end of the race, I think we'll be getting a different thoughts from him as to how things have gone here today. Yeah, it's just one mistake, one little misstep, a missed apex, you end up running wide. If you go deep at the hairpin, anything like that, it can cost you some big places with this queue of cars. As you mentioned though, Sanchez is almost 3 seconds clear at the front.
Jamie Fluke's up to 13th. One of our privateer drivers that's picked his way through the pieces. You mentioned Roger Christensen, he's +7. Harrison Crowther +5 in what is his first appearance this season. So he's definitely not going to be in the top 8 conversation, Paul. But it's great to see him at least show up for this penultimate round, and hopefully we'll see him in a couple of weeks at the Red Bull Ring as well. He's been involved in some of the argy-bargy at the back.
Yeah, he's been getting the elbows out, hasn't he, Harrison? And that's for sure. There's the witness marks on the side of the car to prove that as well. So, yeah, he's been one of our more exciting cars out there on track, shall we say. But, yeah, being able to move forward in a series like this is important. I mean, I'm looking at Luis Bilacher right now. He's made 5 places up, but he's sort of reached a threshold, hasn't he, where he's not moving forward anymore. Taz Dallin holding on to 11th place right now as we've got 2-3 wide behind into the arena, and moves being made. That was Samuele Spizio.
And points to be paid down here through the tail end of the field. A couple of points here and there. Could be important for some of these drivers just to have some bragging rights of their own, leaving this regional championship phase. Even if you're not part of the top 8, just getting here, Paul, is something to be proud of.
one of those drivers that I would mention on that sort of thing is Leo Garibaldi. He was competing in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup GB earlier this year, and it was a bit sort of hit and miss as to what results he would get. And he told us in one of our interviews when he got a podium that part of the reason for that, as he's run very wide there through turn 1 and has to serve a slow down penalty, in his very used, and in fact he's parking the car, I'm not surprised his car was hardly showroom spec, but Garibaldi, he's been doing it the hard way because he's been focusing on his studies, so he's not had the time to be able to put the practice in as he would have done, say, last year.
He's been doing Formula Student as well, which is a great program for those that are pursuing a motorsports career. Use your time in university to get experience. That doesn't just mean driving, it means engineering, it means on the business side of things, raising funds, marketing, and all of that. Lots of really big programs with partnerships with some major companies as well to give them engineering support. Final couple of laps here though, no question, and the battle between the sister cars, Jerome Fisher and Martin Kadlicic, is back on, and Kadlicic needs every point he can muster as he tries to build a bit more of a buffer to Bielica, who's done a great job to stymie any deficit that his poor qualifying effort might have garnered. It's 2 points the difference between 9th and 10th, but it's 2 very valuable points.
Yeah, absolutely, and Bielica's doing the right thing to negate that points loss right now. I will just quickly, final point on Formula Student, by the way. At the University of Huddersfield, their ex-chancellor was Sir Patrick Stewart, i.e. Jean-Luc Picard of the Starship Enterprise. He always said when it was time for the Formula students to do the first fire-up of the engine, he was always there and always sat in the car when they did it. He loves motorsport, does Patrick Stewart.
Love that. That's so cool to hear. Plenty of battles on the penultimate lap of the race. Daniel Ola, Lucas Camba-Morero, 14th and 15th, but this fight for 21st. Renhofer around the outside is going to close the door under the brakes. Now that's a little aggressive. Spezio opens it back up as they get onto the power. And here comes Vitaly Yolkin in that 32 iRacing car. Not quite 3 wide as they funnel through the kink at turn 7. I don't know what Renhofer's thinking track limit-wise, and he slices back into the path of Yolkin, who then clumsily comes back across into the path of Renhofer.
I'm sorry, Vitaly, but that was unneeded. That was unnecessary, that final one. I'm afraid that was a bit of revenge done there on Renhofer, and it's gone from bad to worse for Raphael, hasn't it? 13 places lost. He's the last car running right now.
Well, I guess he'll take solace in the fact that he now, having hopefully settled into his new home right next to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, can maybe go and enjoy the scenery in the area to cool off after what I'm sure has been a heated evening of action in this European region. Don't forget, we've got one more race to come in our Asia Pacific region today here on the Porsche Twitch and the iRacing Esports Network, so don't go anywhere. Alejandro Sanchez is coming out through the hairpin, but here comes Kadlicic. One final chance to maybe lunge. Not close enough.
And he's not going to lunge on a fellow EMM driver either, is he? He needs the points, though, that's the thing. But so does Fisher. Let's not forget all of this as well. Fisher was still like a bit of an outsider looking in on this one, but Kadlicic, he needs the points the most. And he needs to get that advantage of Bielica right now. So, yeah, last desperation moves, I don't think he's going to make them.
Fisher in 11th, you are quite right. Shouldn't have counted him out by any means. And while round 2 was a disappointment for Sanchez, we did talk to him in the aftermath. Never count out Alejandro Sanchez, who threw the final corner, makes it 3 different winners in this European region. You know what it means to him. He wins at the Hockenheim Ring.
Absolutely tremendous stuff. Absolutely untouchable Alejandro from that one. Second place on the grid takes the lead on the opening lap, and then never looked back in that one. Absolutely sensational.
Love the emotion, and it's part of what makes Sanchez so dynamic. The fire that he brings to the event. The fights at the back of the field, by the way, do end with Spezio getting a drive-through penalty equivalent for getting the incident limit. He's practiced these burnouts, hasn't he? Here's our Mobile One winning moment.
It's obviously not practiced enough is what I would say, but yeah, tremendous drive. That's about the only thing that he's done wrong all evening, isn't it? Yeah, it's trying to do burnouts on a curve, not always the best idea, in my opinion.
Let's take a look at our Trilux move of the race, and off the line, pretty equal between Charlie Collins and Alejandro Sanchez, but knowing that there was only going to be a couple of opportunities at the front of the field, got close on the brakes through turn 2, power down nicely as he squares the car up, and then in the draft ball up to the hairpin, two teammates giving each other room and respect, but fighting for the win.
Yeah, they'll still fight, that's for sure. They know that they have to do some fighting like this, but yeah, great move, just nicely done, down the inside, later on the braking by just a heartbeat later, gets it stopped nicely through on the inside, and that was Sanchez through for the race win.
And in the watchful eyes of those from the Porsche Experience Centre Hockenheim Ring, let's take a look at unofficial race results. Sanchez 3.2 clear of the rest of the field. Verstappen Sim Racing and Florian Lebigra slot in just in front of Charlie Collins, who returns to the podium after missing out last time out. Pinto Joe McEwen finish in that order and are now one step closer to their own spot in the World Championship ranks, while Henry Moore tried and got within a second of Luke McEwen. Tristan Iglesias, Jerome Fisher and Martin Kadlicic, your top 10, while Ganosa Tazdelin ruining his run wide that dropped him down a handful of spots and outside of the top 10. Bailica recovers from 17th to 12th, does no disservice to his top 8 hopes with Jamie Fluke, Daniel Ola, and then Lucas Camba Marrero, your top 15. Luca Alpert, Alessandro Bico, Noah Eder, Roger Christensen, and Harrison Crowther, your top 20. Christensen +7 at the end of the day, your biggest mover, with Vitaly Yolkin, Jesse Hilaiho, Oliver Schultz, and then Rafael Renhofer and Spezio with the penalty. On the lead lap, Leo Gariboli 2 laps down and watching on from the sidelines at the end of the race. Let's catch up with our race winner, Alejandro Sanchez, with Paul Smith.
Well, Alejandro, I mean, it's a bit different to the last time we spoke to you at Manicure. What a performance today. Okay, you got the front row start, but a lovely move down the inside of your teammate down into the hairpin.
Yeah, obviously a lot better than Magnicors, of course. Yeah, really thankful to Charlie as well to, sort of facilitate the inside and give me a chance as well to finally win a race in this insanely competitive championship. So yeah, it felt really good. Obviously, I want to give a big thank you to the whole of Coanda and all of my teammates. Really, we've been putting in a lot of effort for this round, especially trying out a lot of different things. And yeah, really happy, really grateful, and yeah, only up from here. Well, it's hard to be up from here, maybe next pool, but yeah, really happy with that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, it wasn't quite the clean sweep because you did get fastest lap though, so that's another good thing. But the pace that you showed, once yourself and Charlie were at the front, then was it a case of trying to control the pace early on, or were you pushing every single lap there that race?
It was also not only that, but also managing the off tracks. Obviously, it's quite easy to gain a lot of time in T1, so you have to be careful with that. And also, it's quite easy to lose a lot of time because of driving too carefully. So, yeah, it was a bit of managing. Also, the tires, it seemed to be like a really hot race. So that was on the back of my mind as well. The last sector felt really slippery already from qualifying. So, yeah, it was managing everything, but I think our pace was really nice. Florian was really quick, just as quick as us, I think. So, yeah, we cannot let our guard down really for the last round.
Well, congratulations on getting the win there in the end. Well done on that win.
Thank you very much.
There we go. That's Alex Sanchez joining us from the winner's circle. Second place in the race with a nice, robust move earlier on in the race from Florian Labigra. But Florian, let's talk through that race. Third place starting on the grid, and you just had to bide your time to get up with, keep with the front two, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I did, let's say, okay quali, so that was putting me in P3, and then I did a small move on Luke at the start of the race. He didn't have much practice, and yeah, then I tried to follow. It was quite difficult to get back into like 0.4 or 0.5, and then Charlie made a mistake in turn 1. He had a weird bounce on the exit curb, so I tried to make a small move in turn 2. Just put my nose there, and then in the straight we had a small contact. And then European is just a racing incident, I guess. But then that was it. So I tried to manage the gap at the end and my fuel, because I miscalculated that. But otherwise, it was a pretty good race. It was quite fun, to be fair.
It looked to be fun, that's for sure. But of course, this does move you slightly ahead of Charlie in the terms of the point standings. Is that something that you care about in these regional qualifiers, or is it just keeping in that top 8?
Yeah, just keeping it in the top 8. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I've seen when I was watching PESC, always the qualifiers and the contenders back in the years. It was always, I mean, the qualifiers doesn't matter. It's the World Championship that matters. So, I mean, it's still good, obviously. It's good for the ego, let's say, but the top 8 is the most important.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on getting yourself second place here today, Florian.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Happy with that.
No worries. And joining us now, Charlie Collins, third place in the end here after another pole position. That's 3 pole positions now for you, so you must be pleased with your qualifying pace here. But the race didn't entirely go your way, did it?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly as you said, Paul. Quali was really good. 1-2 for the team, and personally a really good lap. I was very happy with that. And yeah, in the race, not so good. On lap 1, Alex got past me, and after that, I was just kind of staying in line, and then I made a small mistake in T1, and that allowed Florian to get close, and then we just made contact. Bit of a kind of like my car just got glued to his, and I couldn't really turn anymore, and it happens. So no, for me, still I'm very happy with the result, and I'm also very happy for Alex to score points. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a big day for the team, that is for sure, up at the front of the field. The mentality in these regional qualifiers, when you're so close to being guaranteed to being in that top 8, are you still a fighter? Have you still got that racer in the back of your head going, go on, no, we can defend this? Or are you thinking big picture and thinking, no, let's get the points?
Bit of everything, Paul. Bit of everything. I think all of us on the grid here are racers, and for me right now, also in my position, I think Florian is quite similar, considering we've got quite a nice points buffer. To me, I see this as just practice for PESC, and that was the best practice possible. It doesn't get more kind of pressurized, and I haven't sweated like that in a while. Good lord. It was like I said, you have a bit of everything, and I think still a very good racer. Still I'm happy with P3.
Well, congratulations on P3, and tell your brother he still owes me a donut.
Will do, Paul, will do. Oh, golly. Cool.
There we go. That's our top 3, Arjuna.
Oh, I love that we're able to find ways to embarrass Charlie, even when Bryn's not around. Provisional points, of course, still waiting for race control to maybe have a couple of things to say, but the Bigra, Collins, 1 point separates them, and mathematically at this point, safe. Past that 60-point threshold that will see anyone catch them. More importantly, Paul, it's 16 points between Bajlika and Kadlicic. A further 24 then up to Tristan Iglesias. I won't say he's safe, I'll say he's comfortable. There's a lot of work for Kadlicic, for Fischer to do when we go racing at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less likely, isn't it? And the Red Bull Ring is a track that can really throw up some wild cards, and it's high speed, high drama. I can't wait for 2 weeks' time.
So join us August 29th, the first of our 2 deciding races, first in the European region, as we'll make our way into Styrian Mountains. 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. At the very end of August, we'll settle which 8 drivers will be part of the Porsche Esports Super Cup. But still plenty more racing to come. Don't go anywhere. Asia Pacific up next.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Only one driver stands perfect in the 2026 Porsche Esports Super Cup Regional Championships. Dane Warren has a target on his back, and that includes the likes of defending champion Cooper Webster, who head to Okayama International Circuit knowing 2 rounds left to punch your ticket into the 2026 Big Show. Hi folks, welcome back to Porsche's Twitch to the iRacing Esports Network. Arjuna Kanki Party alongside of Paul Smith. And after an interesting race at Adelaide, maybe with less drama than a lot of people expected, Paul, we head to two more traditional tracks, Okayama and Phillip Island, left to close out the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah, absolutely. And Okayama is a track that everybody should know really well. Anybody who's used the iRacing service will know this track like the back of their hands. It's where you start off your rookie career on iRacing, and it is a classic venue. It's hosted a couple of Grand Prix in its history, and one that certainly will give us some thrills and spills.
Some things have changed in the 2026 Porsche Esports Supercup. Let's take a look at what's new in this year.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are two ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
So 2 weeks ago, we went to Adelaide, and it was all about the start for Dane Warren to get that launch off a pole position and get the move done down into that first centre chicane. With a little bit of drama further back in the field as well through the first chicane, but everybody else then finding themselves into an order. Looking back at what happened, and it was the 31 that sent them around, so drama from the get-go. Then, as the race went on, a bit more through the exit, the final corner, cars getting flung left, right and centre. And it was all about that wall through the turn 8 corner onto the Brabham straight. That had some key efforts there, but it was moves being made further down your field that allowed drivers to make those positions up. Contact though, spinning round the 25, and that was down them for Andanen. We saw some great moves though throughout that race, but it was Dane Warren who took the win in the end from pole position once again.
So make it 3 on the bounce. Not even being back on virtual home soil, I think, was enough to put a smile on Dane's face. Maybe he'll have a smile on his face in a few moments' time, because if he qualifies 3rd or higher, he will mathematically have effectively locked himself into the big show. Defending champion of the Porsche Esports Supercup, Cooper Webster, is almost there. One more round and he should be mathematically in as well. With the cut line, just 15 points between young Charlie Jameson and Yu Cheng Wu. Josh Zhang not too far off. Eric Shaw in the mix. It's a lot to fight for, Paul, as we head into these final 2 rounds. And Okayama, Phillip Island, these are 2 tracks at which you really are going to be able to make moves.
Yeah, they are going to be ones that you can make moves on. Like I say, this track, former Grand Prix venue of the Asian Grand Prix, the Pacific Grand Prix. Sorry, my mistake. But yeah, it's certainly a track that has got people plenty of opportunities to make those moves. And Phillip Island, I mean, come on, is there a better Australian track outside of Bathurst? It's a long one.
Maybe even including Bathurst if we're talking pure racetracks. Let's talk, though, about our storylines here in the Asia-Pacific region, starting with the man at the top of the championship standings. Perfect so far. 3 poles, 3 race wins, and Dane Warren looking to try and make it 4-4. And Cooper Webster, no one really has had an answer for him so far.
Yeah, it's been incredible, Dane's performance at the front. When you think Cooper Webster is the defending Porsche Esports Supercup champion, it just shows the level that Dane has just found himself here in the Asia Pacific Championship. But I'd like to see a smile on Dane's face at some point after these wins.
Even talking to you hasn't made him happy. Let's talk about the cut line though, Paul, because 60 points is all that you can earn when we head to Phillip Island next time out.
Yeah, and it's a big one for a number of these drivers looking down the order. I mean, the top three, Damon Woods as well, will be looking for a good result here today to secure his spot into that top 8 for going through into the Esports Super Cup. But there's a number of drivers who are getting a little bit nervous. We spoke to Charlie Jamieson last time out. He wasn't happy with his performance at Adelaide. He'll be looking for a better performance here today.
And last but not least, slightly different when you compare this to the European region, dominated by just Coanda and Verstappen Sim Racing in numbers. Here we've got one driver from each of those teams, and then a couple of the up-and-coming teams, the likes of Automoves, Falcon Sim Racing, of course, ran by the Door Esports team. It's all about trying to make the most of the opportunities you've had. Single driver teams as well, right on the outside, looking in 8th through 16th or so. And lead drivers versus your second drivers. Been a little bit of a discrepancy sometimes in the aggression, how aggressive you want to be with your teammates, always a big question. But some of those key things for us to think about as we head in to this penultimate round of the Asia Pacific region. And Paul, while the drivers will all know this track because of its prevalence in the iRacing Rookie Series, let's dive in to our track analysis here at Okayama.
Yeah, let's take a look at this track then. So, of course, in Japan, we've got to contend with the different type of asphalt once again, like we had at Suzuka. Clockwise track, it was, of course, has Super Formula and Super GT race around here. As I say, 2 times the Pacific Grand Prix was held here in near... used to be called AIDA, did this track. So, yeah, it's definitely one that's got a bit of history. It's got a lot of historic driver corner names as well around here. Moss, Williams, Atwood, Hobbs Corner as well, to name just a few of them. Opportunities for overtaking, that long back straight down into the hairpin is the favourite one. And down into turn 1, you've got to be a bit brave into first corner. You can make the moves there.
And it is quite literally called first corner as well. The track keeping it simple for commentators when it comes to how we talk about the different corners. Let's talk about our Loctite race analysis, though. Once again, the same as what we saw in the European region. It's a 30-minute race with just a standing start for the drivers to worry about, and they'll all pack enough fuel to get them through the race without a trip down pit lane. Winding through some of the slower corners, traction from the rear tires might be a question, yes, but ultimately all looking to try and figure out who will be the top 8 in the region at the end of the final round of the championship, 2 weeks from today, when we race around Phillip Island. One of my favorite tracks on iRacing. Some great tracks, of course, for us to enjoy, including this updated version of Okayama from when I joined the service. If you want to join, new memberships are 30% off. Scan that QR code. Every day is race day, and you can start building memories of how these tracks looked for when they get rescanned in about 10 years' time once again.
Yeah, I tell you what, the way the service has come on leaps and bounds since I first started back in 2012. Yeah, I've had a number of... God blimey, I'll be up to 15 years next year. That's incredible.
I was commentating on the iRacing Portimao 1000 earlier today, and I was trying to discuss with you and O'Leary, my fellow commentator, do you remember the days when the iRacing Bathurst 12 hours was multi-class? And he didn't. And that wasn't that long ago. That was only 5 years ago. I feel old, Paul, now, and I only turned 32 a couple of days ago. That's unfair.
You're a young wee pup compared to me, that's for sure, Arjuna. But yeah, this is one that we're looking forward to, and look who's looking forward to it once again. Yet another pole position for Coanda Esports driver Dane Warren. That's 4 from 4 now. And here's how he did it here with our TDK pole onboard lap. Through turns 1 and 2, first corner and Williams, through the Moss S, flat out, and then keep it to the left-hand side, brake into Atwood curve. It's uphill. You want to try and hug the inside all the way through this hairpin, because you've got to carry the speed then up over the top of the hill along this back straight as we're going towards hairpin corner. You want to be looking to the brake markers on the left-hand side of the track. You want to be about 100 metres before you hit that middle pedal. Get it whirred up. Again, hugging the apex, because you don't want to go all out to the left. Keep it to the right-hand side. Through the left of Revolver, and now into Piper corner. Important to get a good launch out of the corner, then keep it to the right hand side as we're headed into Redmond corner. This first of 2 hairpins. Again, don't let the car go all the way out to the right. Keeping it middle for Dane through Hobbs corner. Now towards the Mike Knight corner. This is a tricky corner to get right. Use the curve, little lift of the throttle there into last corner, and again, a tricky corner to finish off the lap. Carry the speed all the way down the start and finish straight.
A lot of those corner names after iconic names in British motorsport all came here and ran in the years that the track was opening and beginning its own history. Let's write some history though. The first time that the Porsche Esports Supercup has been here at Okayama. Dane Warren, 4 poles in a row, but the smallest qualifying margin this season to Cooper Webster. Can he break through to win for the first time this season in the Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing #1? Jae Hee Han slots into row 2, his best qualifying effort this season, and tries to put the pressure on the likes of Damon Woods, Hugo Allen, and Hudson Hughes, all as they try and fight for their spot in the top 8 in points. Cody Deeth and Zach Radare-White slot in to row 4 with Xavier Kane and Eric Shaw just behind them to complete the top 10. Charlie Jameson, the driver on the cut line, sits 8th in points, 11th in qualifying. Josh Zhang rolls to his outside. That is a young row filled with talent in the world of iRacing. Aiden Schweikert, Kishiro Tamai, 13th and 14th respectively, with Michael Velasquez and the Legions of Racers number 19 slotted in alongside of Azuki Arakawa. Mikhail Pirinen, Bradley Setters, Daryl Brady, Chandramoli Anandan, and then Byron Pierce and Methasik Klanshui at the back of the field with no qualifying times. A couple of cars not maximizing qualifying. Paul, this is a track with the limits. It can be difficult to really put everything on the line with just the one lap you get.
Yeah, it's finite margins again, as we keep on saying here in the Porsche regional qualifiers, but this track, it's a bit more of an old school track. You've not got the asphalt runoffs that we had at the Hockenheim Ring, so you've got to keep it within the bounds of the circuit. Makes me happy at least, but the drivers not so much.
As a look at Cooper Webster, the defending champion, it was an interesting answer to the question that he gave when you asked him in the first round, Paul. It's not often that a champion has to qualify his way back into the series, but he's just stayed out of trouble, right? Second in qualifying every round, second in every race. It's exactly what he really is needed to do, much like we were talking about with Florian Lebigre.
Yeah, it's just getting those points and get it all sorted for the qualification.
Well, one driver, unfortunately, not slotted into their stall. Jae Hee Han qualified 3rd, but will miss the drop of the green flag as the Porsche Symphony sends themselves off the line at Okayama. And Cooper Webster with a poor start, but fortunately can cover himself off with Jae Hee Han missing on the formation. Slide through the opening corner as we already see the top 2 starting to check out. Damon Woods slots in front of Hugo Allen, Hudson Hughes, Cody Deeth, Zach Radare-White. Bit of gravel kicked up as then inside for Xavier Kane becomes the outside as we switch up to the hairpin. A tidy start so far, no one being too aggressive as we climbed up and put the power down.
I think we're going to see a bit more desperation though in this race compared to what we saw in the European series, because this one, the championship, it's a lot closer to be able to get yourself into qualification. Some late defensive moves going on here, and that's just allowing people to slot into places. But yeah, it's not been a bad time for drivers out there. They're all keeping it nice and clean, and yeah, it was just the misfortune of Jae Hee Han missing out on the start.
And it was just a technical mechanical issue for him, but he won't take to the track, unfortunately. See if he rejoins us for the final round of the season at Phillip Island. Switchback hairpins through this final sector, and it's always a place where trouble can build, and Bradley Setters unfortunately finds himself half-spun.
Yeah, that's the problem when you're on lap one through that sequence of hairpins. You just end up bunched up, you're too wide, too deep, and then before you know it, it's just the slightest of contact. As you get the power down as well, it just upsets the car, and around you go. But Dane Warren, under a little bit of pressure from Cooper Webster at the front of the field here, but Damon Woods, Hugo Allen, they're not too far away right now.
Just trying to pick my way through. After Jae-hee Han missed the start, I don't think anyone inside of the top 13 has really made any moves. Byron Pierce has gone up 5 from starting at the back. This is what happened to Setters. Just a bit of contact as he gets down to the apex, and unfortunately he gets squeezed out wide.
I will say, great avoiding action from Clan Chow Wei, because it would have been so easy to get involved in that one. We actually spoke to him last time out, and bless him, tried his best, considering that English was not his strongest language. So it was always good to hear from other drivers that we don't normally hear from.
It was Akazawa Haruki that made the contact with Setters on the inside. Again, what was one of our storylines in the European region, avoid the race control intervention, not necessarily a conversation at the tail end of the field when you're not worried about the cut line, but it's a story for those at the front, and that's why no change. 1st through 13th, effectively as they started this race, riding from the roof with Cody Deeth, who's tied with Hudson Hughes, 6th in points. Best finish of the season came at Suzuka, but Deeth in a decent position right now to bring Falcon Sim Racing and Door Esports into the World Championship ranks.
It'd be great to see that organisation involved in the World Championship. Door are well known in the world of motorsport, and to see them get here to the very top level of Porsche sim racing would be a really good one to see. Deeth closing up to the back there. That's just the nature of getting onto the brakes. Now Hughes will just pull away slightly, getting on the power slightly earlier. That concertina effect that you get going through the hairpins. But Deeth right now is wanting a good result. It's been a difficult qualifying series so far. 13th in the opening round for Cody. It was character building, wasn't it, that opening round?
Yeah, he was involved in the drama that was on the opening lap down to turn 10 at Fuji. Picked his way back up through the field to what ended up being an unlucky 13th, all things considered. Stayed out of trouble for the most part in Adelaide. Started 7th, finished 7th. And now up in 6th with the pressure being put on to Hudson Hughes. Again, remember, tied on points are these two drivers. There's no real need to force the issue. Top 8 in the points. Advance to the World Championship where the slate is wiped clean. You don't take any advantage from being 1st or 8th. You start 5-race Porsche Esports Supercup on the same playing field. Xavier Kane, the 16-year-old from Mount Gambier, Australia. One of the things that all of these drivers are getting used to, Paul, is racing at a slightly uncomfortable time of day in some cases for them.
Yeah, and that's something they're going to have to get used to when it gets to the Supercup end of the championship, and having to know how to adjust yourself. Now, they will have experience of running at uncomfortable times from running in iRacing special events, say like the Daytona 24 Hours or the Spa 24 Hours, for example, the most recent 24-hour race that we had. So they will be used to being involved in more unsociable hours. However, in those 24-hour races, they generally will be put into the car when it's nice sort of mid-morning, and then run through the day so that all the European lot can get their beauty sleep.
I'm a big Rush fan. They've obviously hit the road again. And the one thing I found interesting that they said was getting ready to tour. One of the things that they had to do in their 14-month rehearsal was, as they got closer to tour, they started rehearsing later and later to obviously replicate what happens when you start your show at 7:30 and don't finish until 10:30, and you are of a particular vintage, 70 years plus in the case of Rush. So same thing here in the world of esports. You're just shifting your preparation and trying to get yourself prepared. It's difficult. We've talked about it through all different series, including in IndyCar Pro Championships. Not always easy for the Europeans in that series, so everyone has to take a bit of punishment here and there. Out of the hairpin, Josh Zhang, Charlie Jameson, a couple of youngsters scrapping it out amongst them. In fact, a couple of battles exiting the middle sector.
You think Rush would know the songs by now, wouldn't have to rehearse for 14 months. But anyway, yes, it's Tamai now just looking to the inside. My OCD is now getting affected by the cable management on the shot there. But yeah, Koshiro Tamai putting the pressure on here. 13th place at the moment, and it's ahead is Schweiker. Now Aiden, 18th in the championship, still mathematically within a shout of getting in, but he needs to score some big points here.
At the front of the field, it's still under a second between Dane Warren and Cooper Webster. The last 3 races all finished with a gap under 5 seconds or so, but it does seem as though Webster a little bit closer this time compared to the last 3 races to open the season up. Gap back to Damon Woods. Hugo Allen starting to grow. And getting a reminder of the level at the front of the field. Big send from Cody Deeth. Uses the cambered nature of the hairpin to his advantage, but the door not quite slammed shut. Back underneath comes Deeth as Hudson Hughes defends with all his worth in that paddock GG. Machine onto the power. You could hear almost the rear tires struggling to put all that power down. And now into the switchback hairpins. It's closed up behind. Zach Ratteray-White with Kane, Shaw, all getting into the mix. They've left Josh Zhang slightly further behind. Really close battle here into the final corner.
I mean, that's the only problem with making that move into the hairpin of what Deeth did. By the way, Cody did a tremendous job to make it to the apex and actually stick to it. You know, not out-braking himself, got that braking absolutely perfect. But with the nature of Revolver Corner and Piper Corner, I thought he was going to get the cutback and get down the inside of Piper. But there you go. Hughes does a great job. But all of this fighting has slowed these two down. As you mentioned, Ratteray-White, Kane, Shaw, all together right now in this queue of cars.
It's not the track that many of them might have practiced with this car too much, but combine their experience with the car, their experience with the track, and I don't doubt that they got up to speed pretty quickly. We're being shown just how raceable this smaller track can be as well. When we go to Phillip Island, you will be able to run side by side through that entire track if you give each other enough space. Easier said than done sometimes. They are really pushing, and you can see that with the number of cars beginning to run off the track, coming out through Revolver Corner into this final sector of the lap, wind with Xavier Kane, one way then the other. And this is where the ABS, the traction control, all really helpful tools.
You don't want to be relying on it though, that's the thing. You want to be on the very limit of the ABS kicking in to be able to get that braking performance out of the car. You don't want to be reliant on it too much here on iRacing, because you can end up putting a lot of temperature through your tyres. Now, the tyres cope with that a lot better than they used to here on iRacing, and so you know you can rely on it a little bit more, but still you want to avoid that chance of putting that heat cycle, that heat load through the tyres, because it can take you a little while to bring those tyre temperatures back down. And we heard how in the European split it was all about looking after your tyres a little bit as well. So yeah, sort of staying in the same positions right now, just feeling each other out in this fight. As Deeth got close once again to Hughes.
Webster starting to be dropped up front, but still very, very tight here. Cody Deeth, I think, thinks he's faster, just not able to get alongside. The braking zone's maybe not heavy enough through these switchbacks to really pull alongside, and he's riding the bumper all over the gearbox of Hudson Hughes. Remember, tied for 6th in points. Currently just 5 points in front of Charlie Jamieson, in 8th on the cut line, and that is why they are being very careful. They cannot afford to lose any points, whether that's from tripping over one another or the dreaded race control, post-race intervention. And how painful that would be, Paul, to be at Phillip Island, to think that you've qualified as one of the top 8, only for race control to step in and say, oh no, we've got a points penalty for you.
Yeah, it's treading that fine line, isn't it? It really is what you've got to do out here. I have seen issues for Byron Pierce. He's still running, actually. Showing is still running on my end, so I think he's been having a few technical issues. Has dropped him down the order. But look at this now. Deeth is in the slipstream. He's trying everything that he can. But Hughes isn't making the moves down the inside. Deeth very late, and this time is a little bit deeper. Forces his way through. A robust move from Deeth.
You'd call that a block pass, not quite opening the door for the young 20-year-old Zach Radare-White in the Eclipse SimSport machine to slip through as well, but we are starting to ratchet up the intensity as we close on the halfway mark of this 30-minute race. Talked about it in our Loctite race analysis. No pit stops. It's all just going to be about management over the course of the 30 minutes. With a lot of these low-speed traction zones potentially allowing those opportunities for drivers to overcommit and overuse the virtual Michelin rubber underneath you. Now Cody Deeth has got targets set on closing on Hugo Allen, 2.5 seconds up the road, but more importantly, not allowing Hudson Hughes a chance to close. White, Kane, Shaw. Look at the train that continues to ride so close together.
It's like a UK bank holiday Monday, everyone coming back from the coast, and it's a caravan holding everyone up at the front of the queue of traffic. But, well, I mean, Deeth, he's under pressure at the front of this queue. Shaw, that we're on board with there, at the back of the queue, on the outside sort of looking in, going, hey guys, I'd like to get involved in all of this. In fact, Shaw looking to the inside just to get into the mirrors of the car in front of Kane. So little bits of different tactics at play here.
And, you know, I'm also just thinking between Cody Deeth and Hudson Hughes, a bit of a different sort of background here. Hughes, 16 years old, been karting for quite a while, but only jumped onto iRacing in February of 2025, so about 16 months into his iRacing journey. And then on the other side with Cody Deeth, yes, he's only a couple of years older at 19, but we've seen him in the world of iRacing for so many years. An IMSA Esports race winner with the Veloce team at VIR last year in what was a really interesting rain-impacted race. Both very, very quick and showing the different sort of pathways that now we'll continue to see in this Porsche Esports Super Cup. In the real world, Porsche's got its own pyramid there, starting with, especially in the US, some club level racing effectively, the likes of the Porsche Endurance Challenge. You then step up into your sprint challenges, into your Carrera Cups, and if you're competitive enough, into the Porsche Mobile One Super Cup, and all in the hopes of becoming the Porsche factory driver down the year and getting that coveted factory seat. In the sim racing world, Paul, we've got our Porsche Esports Carrera Cups already. Some of those champions get automatic invitations to this regional championship. But there's other things that I'm sure we'll see through the years as well, as more sim racers start to flock into this part of the championship realm because of the opportunities that Porsche offers.
You know, I was talking to the commentator of the Carwow Porsche Sprint Challenge GB, David Addison, when we were covering the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. And he said after the opening round of the Full Metal Racing, when Josh Rogers put himself, second place in his opening races at Donington Park, he bumped into one of the media guys from Porsche GB, and they were just over the moon at the performance of what Josh had done in the car, and how that pathway is really working for Porsche as well. It's another pathway for them to find talent that maybe you wouldn't find if you haven't got a spare, say $1 million in your pocket to buy a car and go racing.
That's why in the US they've even partnered up with the likes of K1 Karting to have some sort of pathways to promote more opportunities for those on the entry into motorsports. Like we mentioned Formula Student earlier, we would be remiss from talking about the other ways that you can get into motorsport. Sim racing is one, karting is another. We should not discount the opportunities and the eyes that you can bring onto yourself there. This conga line, Cody Deeth has not broken away, but increasingly Josh Zhang and Charlie Jameson are starting to latch onto the tail end of this, and that's important. Charlie Jameson needs every bit of points that he can get right now.
Yeah, this is where Charlie needs to make those moves. We've seen how Charlie has made some really impressive moves over the season. I mean, last week he got move of the day, so last week, 2 weeks ago, he got move of the day at Adelaide with that beautiful worked move where it had to be patient, wait multiple corners before getting the job done. So yeah, he needs to be. But the problem for Charlie here is he's not really close enough right now. He's about, 1.5, 1.4 seconds back from Josh Zhang. So he needs to close up that gap. And right now, he's not got that pace as Charlie.
There's a look at him. It'll be early morning for him as he digs the right side tyres into the gravel. That will have slowed his momentum slightly as well as he heads up to Atwood Curve. A right-hand uphill hairpin. Push out wide as he try and put all the power down through those rear tyres. The gap now in front of Charlie, 1.7 seconds. You can see a couple of half-hearted looks brewing in front, so some of those drivers who are clearly feeling their tyres are more alive than others. That brief on board with Charlie shows his discomfort. Uncomfortable up to the hairpin as Akazawa pushes Anandan slightly wide, not with contact, just with the force.
That's what is known on my streams as a mind punt, is that one right there. It's just putting the pressure on, forcing them to be uncomfortable, too light on the brakes, and Anandan right there just runs a bit deep, and see him talking away there is Chandramouli Anandan right now, so he's really getting into it. Do you know what? I'm a little bit disappointed with a lot of these drivers. There's a distinct lack of the sim racers lean.
We always look forward to seeing what we can on board with some of these drivers' webcam. Chandramouli works with the Motorsports Association of Malaysia, the regional, or I should say national ASN motorsports body that works with the FIA. He's actually their PR and communications guy. So if we ever need any help with notes from Motorsports Malaysia, we know who to go and contact. Been in professional sim racing for about 3 years, and like a lot of people in Asia Pacific, didn't actually start on iRacing. A lot of them start, guess what, on a controller with the likes of Gran Turismo before they get then fully into the world of iRacing, sweep through the hairpin for Michael Velasquez in the Legions of Racers white and purple. He's directly behind Mikhail Purinin in number 22. 14-year-old from Bangkok defends from the Filipino driver tucked in behind.
You're talking about people starting off on a controller. I started off on keyboard with Grand Prix Circuit, so back in the day. But yeah, no, it's incredible to see what people start off with, and from humble humble groundings comes really big effort. Oh, that's a bit wide ahead of Velasquez. That's going to be an opportunity now for Velasquez to make the move. And look at this, weaving down the straight. Oh, Michael just not able to get close enough.
It's a short run from the final corner back down to turn 1, and that's the only thing that helped Pyrenin. Body language of the car showing the struggles to hold on. The 14-year-old using all the track and then some. Up to Atwood Curve. 15th time in this race. 8 minutes left on the clock. They're looking probably at 7 laps or so, including the one that we're on. Tell you what, Velasquez showing us the calm sim racer look of focus once again, and reminding us of one of the reasons why we like Alejandro Sanchez so much. He shows his emotions, wears it on his sleeve.
Velasquez almost looks like he's in a trance and about to fall asleep, I think, here, with just how focused he is right now. I mean, yeah, Jackie Stewart, you can't really get much higher praise than Jackie Stewart. We're saying that the most important thing is to take emotion out of your driving. You cannot let emotion take hold of your driving. I get that, and I really do. It is the fastest way to drive, but it doesn't make it the most exciting racing, though, for us to watch, does it?
You know, I think there's a middle ground to probably strike, right? I think there's still... You look at the great thing about modern sports media is the amount of insight that we have gotten into locker rooms that go back 40 years ago. People would have been amazed at the places that we have stuck microphones, and the way that the great coaches and managers motivate players is so rooted in emotion at the end of the day, but understanding individual emotion, that kind of get what Jackie means, but maybe that is more true in his era when there are less people to help you focus your mental energy. Aiden Schweikert, he's used the force. The mental mind games have worked once again. Charlie Jameson struggling with the rear end. And now vulnerable into the final sector. This is where he's really starting to lose control.
Charlie Jameson's just looked a little bit uncomfortable this week at this circuit. Doesn't seem to suit him, this track. And yeah, if you're Aiden Schweikert, you're trying to move forward and trying to just get whatever you can out of this one. Jameson, I tell you what, for some of these young drivers, we've got 13-year-olds on the grid. It makes me feel really young. Really old, should I say. The experience that they're getting from this series, if nothing else, will put them in really good stead of, right, okay, look at what Dane Warren, look at what Cooper Webster are doing at the front of the field. Let's see, what are they able to do with the car that I'm not doing yet? And they're able to share those sessions and see what the differences are and where they've to improve. And he can take so much, along with the rest of the field, by the way, can take so much learning from seeing these two former World Championship drivers, including our current champion.
It is invaluable. You don't need to see inputs to learn. I think that's a misconception that a lot have, and I think you are so right. There is so much for these drivers who maybe have not competed against the Warrens and Websters of the world too frequently to take from this experience, to be able to grow and to hopefully come back for 2027 with even more knowledge and experience to build up the drivers in their journey. We should not forget that for Dane Warren in particular, I'm struggling to remember the last year that he was not involved in major sim racing competition. He's been full-time in this world for years now, part of the Porsche Esports Coanda program since day one, but effectively year one for Dane Warren. So lots of resources and experience that he's been given access to, and now some of those other drivers will be able to learn from. Speaking of, haven't talked about him for about 25 minutes. Let's look at him and Cooper Webster, who is the closest he has been so far this season. Smallest margin of victory, about 2.4 seconds between these two. 1.4 as Webster runs down to the hairpin.
What was it the great Alain Prost said? Win at the slowest speed possible. I don't think it's out of choice for Dane to be this close with Cooper Webster right now, but Dane, as usual, just, again, focused, doing what he's doing. Do you know what? Commander Esports actually put out a social media post with Josh Rogers on their various social channels, and Josh talked about learning and about what to do to improve yourself as a sim racer, and he mentioned about watching the replay, about what you did, what you could maybe do better, and look at others that are maybe faster than you, and look at what they're doing. So again, it all comes round as that. So it's good learning is what we're taking from this one. If nothing else, for us in the commentary box as well, because it doesn't matter how much I look at drivers' ability and what they can do in the cars, I still don't improve.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about the video that Kawanda and Dane put out at the start of July when they were joking. What was the caption? You're older than 25 and you get out of your sim rig a little too fast. I thought you were going to talk about that video, but we've all been there. Ride into Atwood Curve. Cody Deeth is now playing defense after pushing Hudson Hughes for the first half of the race. He's now finding out what it's like to be dealt all that pressure. Radaray White, Kane, Shaw, and even Josh Tang a little bit too far back in this battle. We're on the ante-penultimate lap. It should be 2 laps to go at the line, and here comes Hudson Hughes. Half shows himself to the hairpin, but Cody Deeth wise to it.
Yeah, he's just showing that nose, showing the potential of what could be here. But time is running out now if you're Hudson Hughes. But again, it's one of those situations where we talked about it in this fight between these two. They don't want to do anything silly as it looks to the inside of the hairpin, but you don't want to catch the attention of the stewards at the end of the day, and you don't want to cost yourself a potential 5-10 points depending on the penalty that would be applied depending on the severity of the incident. So yeah, it's been sensible.
And for Hudson, again, if he's only been sim racing really for about 14-15 months, 11th in round 1, 6th in round 2, 8th in round 3, to match that 6th place finish here as well, and to be within grasping distance of the World Championship at the age of 16 years young. There's a lot to be grateful for at this point. And Brian Till once told me this: you might not have the ability to win every race in motorsports, but if you've got a car that finishes 6th and you can get 6th out of it, well, you did your job. He might think the car's good enough for 5th, especially as Cody Deeth struggles in the late stages here. He's tight to the inside through the hairpin, blocks that path off, not costing them much momentum. That is crucial now. Deeth doing just enough, placing his car where he needs to on this penultimate lap of the race to hold Hughes at bay.
I saw a clip of an athletics coach talking about a young runner that he was coaching, and this runner went and ran a race, finished last, and they scored a time that was down on everybody else, and he goes, yeah, but that's your personal best, isn't it? And the next race that came along, it was another personal best, and then another personal best, and it's taking that mentality. Yes, you may be finishing not first. Don't look at that. Look at how you're improving and getting better. And that's the crucial thing.
White flag, 1 lap left to go today, and then just 30 minutes, 2 weeks from now for these drivers in the Asia-Pacific region in the Porsche Esports Supercup Regional Championships. Dane Warren, Cooper Webster, still 1.3 seconds between them, but Hudson Hughes and Cody Deeth tied on points, 6th in the championship coming into this round. Just in front of the cut line. They need every point they can get. It might just be a couple of points up for grabs into the hairpin for the final time, but you best believe they will not back down. The 16-year-old on the offense, the 19-year-old on defense, but just enough room into their braking zone to hold on.
Great stuff. This has been fantastic all race long between this pack of cars, and it's been impressive to watch. But Deeth holding on to 5th place. There are a couple more opportunities for them, but time is running out for them.
Might have just robbed himself of that for Hudson Hughes as he drives wide coming out of Revolver Corner. One driver who has been perfect, quite literally, now mathematically, surely locked in to the 2026 Porsche Esports Supercup. But guess what? He's still apparently not quite happy. There's a job left to be done for Dane Warren. 4 poles, 4 wins. It doesn't get much better than this, but Cooper Webster holds him as close as he's ever done. 1.4 seconds at the line. And now wait, Deeth, Hughes, Radaray White, there'll be no change. It's a great race, Paul. This Asia-Pacific region has put on a show at a track where we thought it would be difficult to pass.
Yeah, but it certainly did, as across the line. Now, does that Charlie Jameson just lose? No, he held on at the end. It was very close. No, Striker did get him at the line. The line comes at the end there. So, Charlie Jameson, big mistake. And that could cost him some points there in terms of his rivals that he's facing against. Oh, my goodness. Well,
2 points, Paul, and I wonder if he was out of fuel. That's the thing that comes straight to my mind, if he caught it a little bit too tight. No dramas, though, for Dane Warren as he drinks in the Mobil 1 winning moment. And you've got to ask him, is he happy now? Because we need to know.
I can confirm Charlie Jameson ran out of fuel. So, yeah, that's what happened there. But Dane Warren, nonchalant as always across the line. Now, he gave us a weave down the start-finish straight. What more do you want?
It's a good day for Kawanda. Wins in both regions. And I don't think any question about our Trilux move of the race. Hairpin, the opportunity for Cody Deeth to peel Hudson Hughes away from 5th spot. It was bold, it was opportunistic, it took a bit of contact, but it wasn't the first time he tried this move.
As I say, robust is the move, but it was a good move, late onto the brakes, into the hairpin, and got it done that final time.
Let's grab a look at our results before Paul gets to catch up with 3, I'm sure, very tired drivers after that 30-minute race. Dane Warren, perfect so far in the Asia-Pacific region. How much effort will he even put at Phillip Island? What a great racetrack that is, though. Cooper Webster holds him at bay, or holds him close, I should say, at 2nd, while Damon Woods rounds out the podium spots. And surely, Woods and Webster, 2nd and 3rd in the points, surely comfortable in the top 8 as well. Hugo Allen, 4th in points, 4th on track, with Cody Deeth just behind Hudson Hughes, Zach Radaray White, Xavier Kane, Eric Shaw, and Josh Zhang, the top 10. This could lead to a couple of changes, with Aiden Schweikert and Charlie Jameson then finishing in 11th and 12th positions. Kashiro Tamai, Mikko Pirinen holding off Michael Velasquez for 14th and 15th. Finished just in front of Haruki Akizawa, with Chandramouli Anandan, Bradley Setters, Methisit Clanchui, and Byron Pierce, all finishing, unfortunately, Darrell Brady and Jae-hee Han. Han qualified in 3rd. He'll be frustrated that he did not even get to see the green flag. Remember, unofficial race results. Not much, I think, that race control is going to need to take a look at, and nothing up front. Dane Warren standing by with Paul Smith.
Certainly is. And, well, Dane, you gave us a weave down the straight at the end there to show your happiness at winning that race. But, again, pole position, fastest lap, led every lap, and a win.
Yeah, you'll ought to be bored of dragging me in at this point now. Feel a bit sorry.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's all right. I think from a statistic point of view, we're in the series, so at the moment it's just kind of collecting the title if we can. It's never easy, obviously, with Cooper here. So it's keeping me on my toes at the moment, but yeah, I'm just happy to kind of pick up the wins, of course.
I mean, really, me as a commentator, I'm going to turn around to you and say, well, you're going to turn up to Phillip Island and try and get the perfect run, aren't you? That's got to be it now?
Yeah, that would be. I think at this point, if I didn't win tonight, it'd be kind of whatever. But now that I'm 4 for 4, I kind of have to just get it over with, don't I? So, yeah, I'll have a crack at Phillip Island, another home track. So, looking forward to that one for sure.
But crucially, the most important thing, you've now unofficially qualified for the World Championship. That must be feeling good.
It's a big relief. Yeah, I'm grateful that I'm not in the Europe series, of course, but I didn't underestimate the APAC series for a second. So I'm just super happy to make it through, and hopefully PES treats us in the same manner.
Well, congratulations, Dane. another perfect day. All the best.
Thanks, guys.
And coming in second place here, Cooper Webster joins us now. And Cooper, I mean, we keep on getting to chat to you, and every time it's second place today. And that must be, you must be getting sick of the sight at the back of that Commander car.
Yeah, I don't like being the first loser, but I think there's some positives to take from this race. Like quali was pretty close between Dan and I. Was only half a tenth, and then I was able to stick within the aero bubble, you could say, like behind him. And then once it got to about 1.4, 1.5, I made a mistake. Then the gap pretty much just stayed the same. So I think our pace was pretty similar, where I think he had an edge on me on the other rounds. So it's just about trying to find the edge in quali and then being in front in that first corner.
Well, I was about to ask, how important is that track position, especially when we go to Phillip Island, because it is one of those tracks where you can run side by side, isn't it? But you've got to have a bit of cooperation between your drivers, haven't you, at Phillip Island?
Yeah, I mean, that track's really good. I've raced in there in real life, and I really enjoy it. But I think this car, following another car, especially if the car in front's got clean air and like completely clean air and you're following behind, it's very, very hard to stay close around high-speed corners, and that's what Phillip Island has a lot of. So I think qualifying will just be the most important for this qualifying championship. So that's what I'm just going to work on for the last round, and hopefully it goes a bit better than the others.
Well, all the best for Phillip Island. Congratulations on P2, Cooper Webster.
Thank you.
And joining us from fifth place in this race, Cody Deeth. And Cody, you're in here because, well, you pulled off move of the race here, that move down the inside into the hairpin. You tried it a couple of laps beforehand. It didn't quite work out. So was it just a case of last of the late breakers?
Yeah, pretty much. I knew I had the edge on him in the brakes the whole race. So I was like, I just needed to stop being a wuss and just go for it. So eventually, yeah, got it done. Made a little bit of contact, but that's racing. So good move in my book.
Yeah, it was door-to-door contacts. It's nothing egregious in that one. But you just look at that pack of cars, the five of you all in that queue there. Just how difficult is it to get yourselves out of a queue when you're all so closely matched in terms of pace?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult just with how this car races. It's very sort of, if you're all the same pace, there's no real way you can break away. And especially if you don't have the perfect setup, which that's been the tale of this whole season, to be honest. Like, we just haven't found what we need to from the car. We've thrown everything at it, and nothing seems to stick at the moment. But yeah, it makes it quite difficult, especially this track as well. When the pace is close and it's such a tiny track and really hard to, only got real one overtaking place really, so it makes it difficult. Yeah, pretty lost at the moment, to be honest, with where we are compared to the other two.
But it's good points for you, though, in the championship. Take that away from today. Cody Deeth, congratulations, fifth place, but more importantly, move of the race as well.
Thank you.
Well, we talked about the importance of using these races maybe to learn from Warren and Webster. I heard a bit of disconsolation almost in Cody Deeth's voice there, where he's got some questions left to be answered. No questions though. Now at this point, Warren, Webster, Woods and Allen mathematically on the right side of the cut line, of course, with some race control review maybe still to come. Hudson Hughes in a good spot, Xavier Kane, Cody Deeth as well. But Charlie Jameson still 14 points on the right side of that red line. Eric Shaw, Josh Sang, both 14 points adrift. Zach Gradaway right, another 13 points back. Still all to play for, heading to Phillip Island.
I think Jameson just needs to get a good result next time out. He's got that 14-point buffer right now. You don't see any of those drivers get into the front two, so he just needs a good result next time out at Phillip Island. One of my favourite tracks in the Southern Hemisphere right here.
I love it, Paul. Yes, maybe a bit more known for motorcycle racing, and that's what the corner names will reflect as well. But so many opportunities for our Porsche Cup cars to navigate around with good racing between them. And the final of our regional championship races. 4 historic venues to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. Join our team at iRacing as they bring you the coverage next Saturday. Paul, myself, our producer Hugo, and Iku Merakala will be back with you all on the 29th as we settle which final 16 drivers make up the 2026 Porsche Esports Supercup grid. For the team behind the scenes, thanks for your time, thanks for your company. See you a couple of weeks from today.